given that I squared equals -1, I'm just going to underline that because I think that's important, and that k is a positive integer, what is the value of I to the power of 4k plus 2? So looking at the question real quick, they give you that I squared equals -1. So you're clearly going to have to use that when you're trying to figure this out. And the first thing I think when I see this is just plug and chug, because they give you a variable and any positive integer should work. So we're going to go with the easiest one first, of k equals 1. So if I have I to the power of k times 4, which would just be 4 if we're using 1, plus 2, 4 plus 2 is equal to 6. So now we have I to the power of 6. But since they gave us I squared equals -1, I'm going to try and fit I squared into there. So if you know your exponent rules, you can simplify this to I squared to the power of 3. Because a power raised to a power means you multiply them. 2 times 3 is equal to 6. So I squared to the power of 3 is equivalent to I to the power of 6. And that helps us to simplify this a little more. So if I squared is equal to -1 like they told me, I can just put -1 in right there and raise that to the power of 3. So if we do this the long way, we'll do -1 times -1 times -1, which -1 times -1 is equal to 1, so those two cancel, and we're just left with a -1. We'll try it with one more just to check that we're right. So we'll try k equals 2. So we have I to the power of 2 times 4, which is 8, plus 2. That is equal to I to the power of 10. And again, I'm just going to try and get I squared in there because that's what they told me. So I squared, and again, you have to know your exponent rules. So 2 times what equals 10? 2 times 5. So we're going to raise it to the power of 5. Substituting -1 in for I squared, you get -1 to the power of 5. And if you want to do it the long way of multiplying it out, you can do -1 times -1 times -1, and you just write it 5 times. And like I said before, -1 times -1 is 1, so those two cancel. We can cancel 2 more, and you're just left with -1 at the end. So your answer is B.